3D printing is effectively like building an object layer by layer. So you take this virtual 3D CAD model and you slice it up into lots of different cross sections and build them one on top of the other. The best way to describe it is kind of just with Lego. You're building a Lego wall, you build it layer upon layer, and then you end up with your shape. But you build it from the bottom up and you end up with this part. First stage is you have your idea, your concept, whether that is a new invention or whether it's just making a new plug for your bath. You need to come up with an idea. Once you've got that, you then need to get that into digital format. You have to print from what's called an STL file, which is a sort of a 3D CAD file. Once you've got your file together, you then need to send it to, you can either do this yourself or you need to send it to a bureau like ourselves, and we become like the editor in the process, where we take the file that you've designed and then we modify it to make it printable. We don't change any of the dimensions, we just make the file correct for printing. And we then take the part, we then send that to the printer where it's cut into thousands of different slices and printed layer on top of layer. And then after that we have to do the post-processing and cleaning, so we take the parts from the machine, we then take them to the breakout station where we have a big box of powder, which is the sort of leftover from our print process. We then take all the parts from the big box of powder and separate the reusable powder and the non-reusable powder and the parts. We then clean down the parts, put them through with a paintbrush to start with, and then through an air compressor, and then just check it for any sort of blemishes, and then they get sent and shipped out.
I decided to make this camera rig for you guys. From just a basic image found online. I used it as a rough guide, and I copied it using 3D modeling software.
The film industry is adopting 3D printing in quite a big way for props, and generally it's on the smaller side of props. If you're building things bigger than a human, it becomes kind of unviably expensive. Now there are films like Pacific Rim and a few others where they 3D printed all the suits and they're totally awesome, but they are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of 3D print, and that's the kind of movie budget kind of thing. But yeah, we've been printing a lot of smaller things. We've done stuff for the latest Ridley Scott film that's coming up next year. I can't say what it is. We've done stuff for a lot of small productions as well. We made kind of sci-fi laser guns and stuff like this. Yeah, and then we're seeing more and more of it, and there's more and more inquiries coming out for it. So yeah, it's definitely a growing market.
So the last time you guys were here, we were designing your camera dolly, and that was a couple of days ago now, and we've managed to get a print completed for you. It's had to be done in multiple components because it wouldn't fit in the printer hole, but they do slot together pretty nicely. As you can see, perfect fit. Because of this style of joint, it's also really, really structurally sound. Just a little dab of glue and that would never come out. It's a camera dolly. These were new to me before you guys came along, and before I did a little bit of research and found something to make you. So the camera sits on there, it's mounted from below, and it basically allows you to give you a steady shot.
It's an absolutely brilliant tool in manufacture, but it's not the tool for manufacture. It's absolutely fantastic as in product development, especially to be able to design an item, have it 3D printed, get it with you within a number of days, hours, minutes sometimes. Speeds up the whole process, so your time to market is much quicker. Instead of having to wait weeks and weeks and weeks for a part to be delivered, you can get a part delivered very quickly, which means if you have to do 4 or 5 iterations, that ends up turning into months, and means you can launch your product months earlier, which means technology advances quicker.